Welcome to our deep dive today into the Star Trek Voyager episode, Eye of the Needle.
Yeah,
This one really hits on some big questions for Voyager.
absolutely.
Like, what happens when you find a scientific marvel that could send you home?
Yeah.
But it comes with a twist that makes you really question if you should even try.
This episode takes the idea of wormholes and kind of flips it on its head.
Right.
It's not a massive portal they find,
Right.
but this tiny microscopic one?
Yeah, like, how do you even use something that small?
Exactly.
And I mean, think about it. Voyager's stuck in the Delta Quadrant.
Thousands of light years from home.
70,000 light years, to be exact.
Yeah, and they're desperate to find a way back.
Right, so you can imagine the excitement when they discover this anomaly.
Oh, yeah.
With all the signs pointing to it being a wormhole.
For sure.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
A cosmic haystack.
Yeah, but this needle comes with its own set of problems.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This wormhole is so small that Voyager can't even fit through.
Definitely not just about size, though, either.
Right.
It's like this tunnel constantly collapsing in on itself.
Unstable.
Super unstable.
So how do they even think about sending a message through something that small
Right.
and that unstable?
Yeah, they come up with this very ingenious plan
Right.
to launch a microprobe through it.
Like, the fact they can even build something that small,
It's impressive.
it's amazing.
Yeah, and they're hoping to use that probe
Right.
to kind of trace the wormhole's exit point
Right.
and maybe even establish some kind of communication.
Right. But space travel rarely goes according to plan.
Never.
This ancient wormhole throws them a curveball.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's called a gravitational eddy.
You can think of it like,
A whirlpool.
yeah, but instead of water, it's intense gravity.
And it traps their probe.
Yeah, threatening to cut off their only link to the other side.
Oh, much suspense.
Oh, yeah, you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, like, are their hopes going to be dashed again?
But then they get this scan. Someone on the other side of this tiny wormhole
Yeah.
has picked up their probe.
Just chills.
Right.
That feeling of a faint signal traveling across unimaginable distances, and then someone answers back.
Yeah, it's like a whisper across a giant silent canyon, and suddenly someone yells back.
It really is.
Gives you goosebumps.
It does.
Just this breathtaking moment of hope and anticipation.
It is.
Who's on the other side.
Right.
What does this mean for Voyager?
Exactly.
And this episode is brilliant
Yeah.
because it weaves this grand space exploration narrative with this really personal story.
Right.
The Doctor's evolution.
The Doctor.
At this point, he's still viewed as a program,
Right.
not a person.
Right.
But we see Keese with her amazing empathy challenging those assumptions.
Yeah, she really pushes the boundaries.
She does.
Of what it means to be a person.
Exactly.
She sees the Doctor's growing self-awareness.
His capacity for learning.
And she even encourages him to ask for a name.
It's beautiful. How respect and recognition can be so transformative.
Yeah.
And Captain Janeway,
Right.
who has a strong moral compass,
Yes.
starts to see the Doctor's personhood as well.
Yeah.
Gives him more control over when he's active or not.
Yeah.
It's a small step, but it says so much about her evolving understanding of what life is.
Back to the wormhole.
Yeah,
Voyager boosts their communications signal.
using the probe as a relay.
Yeah. And to their astonishment, they get a response.
And it's from a ship claiming to be Romulan.
A Romulan cargo vessel.
For those not familiar with Star Trek,
Right.
the Romulans are powerful and often secretive.
Yeah.
They add another layer of intrigue.
And of course, the Romulan captain is skeptical.
Yeah, a ship claiming to be from the uncharted Delta Quadrant
Right.
appearing on their sensors
Yeah.
sounds like a tall tale, or even worse,
Sweet.
a Federation trick.
Like, are they being tricked?
Exactly.
And Tuvok, Voyager's science officer, backs up that skepticism.
A Vulcan known for his logic and deduction.
Yeah.
Their signal doesn't match any known cargo vessels.
And he suspects it's a Romulan science vessel.
Possibly doing some secret research?
Exactly. And the Romulan captain cuts off communication.
He thinks they're Federation spies.
It's just a reminder that even in the vastness of space,
Yeah.
mistrust and suspicion are strong.
Strong as any gravitational force.
But Voyager doesn't give up.
Nope.
They want to reach home.
They're desperate
So they keep trying to convince him.
to relay messages to their families.
And it's here that we see the human side of exploration.
The emotional toll
Yeah.
this stranding has taken on everyone.
There's this scene where Janeway is looking at a photo,
Of a man and a dog.
probably loved ones back home.
Probably.
Just a quiet, powerful moment.
Yeah. Speaks volumes about the sacrifices and the longing that come with exploring the unknown.
These aren't just explorers.
Right.
They're people with deep ties to home.
Yeah.
They want that connection.
The comfort of familiar faces.
Yeah, and voices.
And it's so relatable.
It is.
Even in this extraordinary setting.
And finally,
Finally,
they get the Romulan captain back.
Janeway appeals to their shared humanity.
Yeah.
Reminds him that both Romulans and Starfleet
Right.
experience that pain of separation from loved ones.
Such a smart way to break down his distrust.
It's clever.
It is.
And this Romulan captain,
Telek Armor
yeah,
agrees to try and make a visual link.
it's risky.
Risky, but driven by curiosity.
And maybe a bit of empathy.
And now things get really mind-bending.
They create this visual link.
Yeah.
And Telek is immediately fascinated by Voyager's technology.
Yeah, he says it's more advanced than anything Romulan intelligence has reported.
He's especially interested in their ability to send a stable transmission through a collapsing wormhole.
Yeah, that's a huge breakthrough,
It is.
especially for the Romulans.
So we're experts in manipulating subspace fields.
Things, cloaking devices and warp technology.
Yeah.
This could change their understanding of how subspace works.
Meanwhile, back on Voyager,
Yeah,
B'Elanna Torres
their chief engineer.
notices something amazing.
Right.
The phase amplitude of the visual link
Yeah.
is really close to meeting transporter protocols.
In other words,
They might be able to piggyback a transporter beam
right.
onto the visual link.
But then beam everyone back to the Alpha Quadrant.
Oh,
Can you imagine the surge of hope?
Oh, yeah.
It's a long shot,
Super risky.
but the potential reward is huge.
Voyager's ingenuity,
Yeah.
refusal to give up hope.
It's amazing.
Makes you wonder, though,
What's that?
what ethical boundaries are they willing to cross to get home?
Yeah.
What are the limits to the risks they should take?
That's a big question.
It is.
But first things first.
Got to see if it's even possible.
Yeah.
They agree to some tests,
Starting with beaming a simple cylinder through the link.
and it works.
It's tense.
Oh, yeah. Watching that cylinder trying to materialize on Telek's end.
But Torres adjusts the transporter settings,
Yo.
and the cylinder solidifies,
One more victory.
but it could lead to something much bigger.
Next, they tried transporting a person.
Telek says no Starfleet personnel on his ship,
Understandable.
so he offers to beam over to Voyager.
Bold move.
Very bold.
Transporter technology is inherently risky,
Yeah.
even under normal circumstances.
But Telek is driven by curiosity,
A thirst for knowledge.
so they prepare for the transport.
Telek materializes.
And Torres notices that same phase variance.
The one that almost stopped the cylinder.
Yeah.
And this time it has some unexpected consequences.
Tuvok realizes that Telek is not just from a different place,
He's from a different time.
pulled from 20 years in the past.
A victim of the wormhole's temporal instability.
Talk about a mind-blowing twist.
It changes everything.
It does. What will Voyager do with this knowledge?
What does it mean for their hopes of going home?
We'll find out in part 2 of our deep dive. So we left off with this huge revelation.
Telek Armor
The Romulan captain.
is from 20 years in the past.
It's not just a different place, it's a different time.
Like opening a door you thought was locked forever.
Voyager now has a choice to make.
A choice that could rewrite their entire journey.
They might have a way home.
But it could mean changing the past.
And that's where the ethical questions come in.
Big ethical questions.
Yeah, the crew realizes that using this temporal loophole
Yeah.
could be devastating.
Think about it.
Beaming back to a time when Harry Kim was a toddler,
It would create a ripple effect
changing history.
in ways they can't even imagine.
Like throwing a pebble in a pond,
The ripples spread out.
affecting everything.
Voyager's actions could erase events.
Relationships, even in entire civilizations.
It's a chilling thought.
Chakotay brings up another point.
Right.
They've already had a big impact on the Delta Quadrant.
Making alliances.
Resolving conflicts,
Helping people.
changing their past, could erase all of that.
Not just for them.
But for everyone they've helped.
It shows how time is all connected.
Every action, every choice.
Its consequences.
And with time travel,
The consequences are huge.
it's a lot of responsibility.
It is
So they have to make a choice.
a hard choice.
Do they put their desire to go home first?
Even if it means risking temporal chaos,
Or do they accept their fate?
knowing they might be stuck in the Delta Quadrant
It's a classic moral dilemma.
with no easy answers.
What would you do?
The needs of the many or the desires of the few?
It's tough.
It is
They're desperate to go home.
to see their families
But the consequences of changing the timeline,
are enormous.
it weighs heavy on Janeway.
This dilemma also adds to the Doctor's story.
He's trying to figure out his own identity.
Wants to be seen as an individual.
And Voyager is dealing with the nature of identity.
How our past shapes us.
A fascinating parallel. While the crew struggles with this,
Yeah.
the doctor takes his own leap of faith,
Asks Keyes to give him a name,
showing his growing sense of self.
wanting to be more than just a program.
Such a beautiful moment.
Growth and self-discovery.
It reminds us that even with uncertainty,
And hardship.
there's always hope and growth.
I love that about Star Trek.
Me too.
It doesn't shy away from the hard questions.
But there's always optimism. With the quick way home off the table,
Voyager goes back to their original plan,
they give Telek a data chip,
with messages from the True.
hoping he'll deliver them to Starfleet.
When he gets back to his own time,
20 years in the past.
such a poignant scene.
Hope and resignation.
They're putting their faith in a Romulan
Someone they barely know.
to carry these precious connections.
Across time and space.
It shows their belief in human connection.
Even across vast distances. But then comes the blow.
What's that?
Tuvok finds out.
Yeah.
Telek Armor died 4 years ago.
In their present time,
The man they sent back.
is already dead in their timeline.
It's just devastating.
The fragility of life.
The unpredictable nature of time.
They thought they'd found a bridge,
But fate stepped in.
leaving them with loss and uncertainty.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
But the crew doesn't give in to despair.
They're strong.
Torres thinks maybe Telek left instructions.
In his will,
Or the Romulans have the data chip.
it's a slim hope.
But it's all they have.
It shows their resilience.
Even with these huge obstacles.
They choose hope.
Keep fighting for what they believe in, and then we see the doctor
In sick bay,
ready to face whatever comes,
just like the crew,
lost in space and time.
but not broken.
They haven't given up hope. The episode really shows how the doctor's journey and Voyager's mission are connected.
Yeah.
He wants to be recognized to have an identity,
Right.
and the crew is facing losing those connections.
The things that make them who they are.
It's about belonging.
What makes a person?
Right.
What connects us to our past, to the people we love?
To our sense of self?
What happens when those connections are stretched across time and space?
It really makes you think about how we connect.
A letter, a photograph.
A memory.
Small things, but so important.
Especially when you're far away from the people you care about.
Like a message.
It can be a lifeline.
A bridge across space and time.
And Voyager's holding on to that.
That those messages will get to their families.
But it's not certain they'll ever see them again.
The episode doesn't pretend it's easy.
What are we willing to give up?
To explore.
To push the boundaries?
It's a question for all of us.
Even if we're not facing interstellar problems.
We all make choices.
Big and small.
And sometimes we have to leave things behind.
Or step outside our comfort zone.
Embrace the unknown.
Eye of the Needle doesn't give us answers.
But it gives us hope.
With a little uncertainty.
It's like standing on the edge of a vast new place.
Excited, but a little scared, too.
That's what makes it so good.
It's like our own exploration.
As individuals and as a species,
We want to know more.
we want to connect with something bigger.
But we carry our past with us.
The need for connection, the hope of finding our way home.
So as we finish this deep dive,
Into Eye of the Needle.
think about this.
What would you do if you were Voyager?
Risk the timeline to go home.
Or hope for another way?
Even if it means being stuck.
It's a big question.
It makes us think about our values.
The impact of what we do.
The nature of time and the choices we make.
It stays with you long after the episode ends.
Makes you think about all the possibilities. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Into the heart of Eye of the Needle.
We hope it made you think about exploration, connection, and the choices we make.
Until next time, keep exploring.